Hey VC, it's Joel coming at you from Planet 13, and this is my contest entry to Brian from Braintwang's uh, contest entry number 2, where he's just doing a push for subscribers, and this one is show some albums with some guest stars. And if you haven't checked out Brian's channel, I'll leave a link below. A very cool channel. I've been watching his material all week, and it's fabulous. He mostly focuses on hard rock, country, and rock and roll. A lot of great stories. I've been checking out his series where he shows his concert stubs or his tickets stubs, and he just runs through the various concerts he saw. There's one where he talks about meeting Waylon Jennings, and it's just a great video. Really enjoyed that story, Brian. And we've talked about, me and Brian, we've talked about Joan Jett. We had a little discussion, and he's got a great video just focusing on Joan Jett, showing some great videos of him meeting Joan, or great photos of him meeting Joan, and some great stories, and a lot of other great videos too. Highly suggest you check him out, and I'll just get on with my video. So I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan, and Alice Cooper is actually putting out his 40th album this year, his 40th studio album, and it's called Detroit Stories, and it kind of harkens back to his start where he started in Detroit with the MC5 and Iggy Pop, with that touring scene. And I'm going to start with his first album, which is Pretty's For You. Not really a guest star, but Frank Zappa produced this album. Frank Zappa really loved Alice Cooper, gave him a start. Kind of when Alice Cooper started out, very psychedelic, kind of gaggy, kind of like reminiscent of early Zappa where songs were kind of funny. And yeah, spectacular album. Again, not a true guest star, but it's got the Frank Zappa name attached to it. And, without Frank Zappa producing this, Alice might not be releasing his 40th album this year. He might not have had that stroke of luck where he got into like the mainstream and the social consciousness. My next album, big guest star for me, Vincent Price. So this is Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. It's his first solo album, but technically it wasn't released as a solo album. It was released as a soundtrack to get out of his or get past his contract with the band he had at the time, because Alice Cooper started off as a band. He had to release a TV movie, which this is the soundtrack for, although this is a studio soundtrack and not the live performance from the TV movies. And yeah, Vincent Price does the intro to the song Black Widow on here. And I bought there's a DVD for the TV movie, and it has a nice letter from Vincent Price. Vincent Price was very grateful to have had the chance to do this, because he was kind of, his public image was kind of faltering at the time. And because he was like a 50s, 60s movie actor. You knew him from like The Fly and various movies like that. Yeah, he wasn't as popular, and this kind of gave him a little more of a boost in his popularity once more. And he saw even more success later on doing the intro to Michael Jackson's Thriller, which is like one of the best selling albums of all time. So guest star number 2, Vincent Price. This next album, probably some consider this Alice Cooper's worst album because it's during his blackout era. So during the 80s, Alice Cooper had what he calls the blackout era. He was totally addicted to crack cocaine. He was doing the smoking the meth pipe during that 4 or 5 year period. Can't remember a thing. He looked really sickly and gaunt. Here he doesn't look too bad, but you see him in some other pictures, and his cheeks are really sunk in, and his teeth are a bit of a mess. And yeah, he's not looking great. He's not looking great. He's very thin. And on this album, in this stretch of blackout albums, which people are starting to love a little more, so people used to put this in their like bottom 5, and now a lot of people kind of put it in their top 10 in some instances, because they're very new wavy, kind of punky, kind of scaled down. He's got Patty Donahue from The Waitress, the singer, the song I Know What Boys Like, or I Know What Boys Want, or whatever. She guest stars on this. It's even on the hype sticker. It says Patty Donahue, sarcasm, and guest vocals on a song called I Love Girls, or I Like Girls. So that's guest star number 3. Here's where Alice Cooper really started off with like the big names in guest stars, and that's Alice Cooper's Trash. So Alice Cooper had a second number 1 hit. So School's Out was his biggest hit of all time, but in '89 he had a number 2 big hit, which is kind of rare, for a musician to have 2 number 1 hits. And So Alice Cooper had a big hit with the song called Poison. And on here we have some guest stars. We have Bon Jovi and Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. So I think there's a few more. There's Richie Sambora and there's Joe Perry and Kip Winger as well. So yeah, that's the start of his big guest star era. And he has these artists because they were big at the time. You know, Aerosmith were pretty big, pretty gigantic at this time, and as was Bon Jovi. And they all kind of shared Desmond Child as their co-writer. So I guess Desmond Child kind of connected them to do some songs with Alice Cooper on this album. And this is considered Alice Cooper's comeback album, but he had a comeback in '86 with Constrictor and Raise Your Fist and Yell. So, but I think it's his biggest comeback because, again, he had a big hit with the song Poison. And then on the next album, Alice Cooper really went big with the guest stars once more. He's got Ozzy Osbourne on a song called Hey Stupid. So that's kind of cool because Alice Cooper and Ozzy are considered like the grandfathers of shock rock. Alice Cooper, again, is noted in 1969 or 68 or somewhere around there at the Peace Festival where he's playing with the Doors and he's playing with John Lennon. He threw a chicken out into the audience, and the audience tore it to bits. So Alice Cooper's kind of known for like the chicken killer, and Ozzy Osbourne's noted for being, biting a head off a dove and biting a head off a bat. So you got these two grandfathers of like shock rock on this album. You also get Slash. You get Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, guest starring on here. I'm a big fan of Elvira. You got Joe Satriani, and you got Steve Vai. And you get a few more. You get Mick Mars and Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue doing some songs as well. So yeah, big guest stars on this album. Next album, and this followed up Hey Stupid. This is Alice Cooper's not really necessarily grunge album, but he's got Chris Cornell, who was in Soundgarden, doing guest vocals on 2 songs. And Chris Cornell actually brought these songs to Alice. He brought them first to Ozzy, and Ozzy turned them down. And they do sound kind of like Ozzy songs. But Alice kind of took over, brought his vocals to it. And yeah, Chris Cornell also contributed his vocals to it. So pretty cool. I'm a big Soundgarden fan, so it was cool hearing this at the time on an Alice Cooper record. And, I had a lot of friends who always dismissed Alice Cooper. They thought he was like a dinosaur. They thought, whatever. And, with Chris Cornell appearing on this, they gave him a chance and they ended up liking Alice Cooper. So I was happy about that. Final album I'm going to show, I have it on CD. It's Alice Cooper's, it's a live album. It's Fistful of Alice. He recorded this at Cabo Wabo at Sammy Hagar's bar. And so you got Sammy Hagar guest starring on here. And you get Slash as well and Rob Zombie on a song or two. So that's my video for Brian's contest. And until next time, cheers.